Back to another episode with Scrolling with Lady Di, and guess who popped up on my news feeds? B. Simone. If you don't know who B. Simone is, she is someone who started off on Instagram as a comedian, had plenty of videos, went viral. Then she went on Nick Cannon's show Wild and Out. She was best-selling author and became a multi-millionaire. But now she's crying on the internet, talking about how she doesn't have as much funds as she used to. Before we get into that, let's look at this clip.
I'm changing so much and I'm so scared.
So right now she's going to get into how she's so depressed.
You don't have to know the how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. You just have to believe it is. Things that
So when she said we have to believe that it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen, she's putting too much pressure on herself. And I would say to anybody who is looking for their dream to come true or anything that you strive for, be very proactive and have the right people in your circle. Sometimes we don't have the right people in our circle and some things start crashing down, but always know it's not the end of the world because you always have the next day to make things better.
I've never battled with before, I'm starting to battle with. And I went to God today and I said, I'm scared. He said, I know.
When you put too much pressure on yourself, you start to become basically have an unstable mindset. And that's why I'm suggesting not to do that. You have to look at life as an opportunity. You have to look at the next day as an opportunity, the next week, the next year. Hell, your whole life is an opportunity. So never look at life so stressful. Look at it as I can do better, I can make better decisions, or maybe I need to change some things up. Maybe the people that I'm around is not good for me, it's bad for what I'm doing. You can make changes, and that's why I'm saying it's opportunity. It's opportunity to change, it's opportunity to research, it's opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. When you start putting pressure on timelines and where you feel you need to be tomorrow, then that's when your unstable mindset of basically not being logical with life starts to happen. And then, sometimes depression or having those type of thoughts can start to appear.
I'm trying so hard. I refuse to walk through life and accept this as my reality. This is a moment.
Now, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not saying that I was depressed like this before, but I did have an unstable mindset at many times in my life, right? And I've conquered that. These are the things that has helped me even today. It has helped me to make sure that I don't get in that mindset again because being in that mindset is not fun. It's very sad. It's very like, oh, I don't like life. I don't, like to go outside. I don't want to talk to this person or that person. Meanwhile, it's just draining, right? It's taken away from the purpose of you being here. So you have to look at life as a chance.
I'm gonna keep fighting and fighting and fighting until I get through this. And all the darkness that God has pulled you through, but the darkness that you're still in.
So the darkness that the Most High pulls you through is a good thing. It's for you to learn lessons. Imagine if you got all of your answers right on a test. What lesson are you learning except you already know the information, right? Which is good, but then when things happen, you won't be able to handle it because you think you know everything, right? Lessons are supposed to happen throughout your life. That's what makes the wise person wiser. So don't look at it as, oh, I'm a failure. Look at it as another chance to learn something.
And when you haven't found the light yet, this is what people don't see. Healing is not linear. One day you're fine, and the next day.
So if you haven't found the light yet, just the light is going to come eventually. And maybe it might not come. It just depends on what your purpose is. You should make sure that all of the days that you live is you look at it in a positive manner. Don't look at it as negative. If you look at your life as negative, then it would just be negative. And also, this is what happens when you talk bad on people. She was talking bad about men who work 9 to 5. Well, this is what's happening for her. She talked about people's lifestyle, even bums, people who live out on the street. You could look at them and say they don't have any money, but don't look at them and look down on them. Everybody could be out on the street. Anybody could not have money. You have to look at life as opportunity and chance. But let's get into the next clip.
He can't have a 9 to 5.
What?
Why not? You don't want him to have an honest job?
I mean, he could be a hustling entrepreneur.
So you want him to be you want CEO status?
Yes.
Okay, he can't
So
like he can't clock in and clock out.
No.
So she doesn't want anybody to clock in or clock out. But honestly, don't matter what job you're working at, you're clocking in and clocking out. It's just a different level to it. So if you're an entrepreneur, you're pretty much clocked in 24/7. So she wants a man not to be, tied down to one space and one job from 9 to 5. But if you get an entrepreneur, you're not going to see him anyway. Right. So you got, let's say if we look at, I'm just going to use this as an example. NBA players, they have wives or family at home that does not see them at all because they're always on the go. Okay. Anytime somebody is an entrepreneur, they're always going to be on the go. It could be in the house or outside of the house, but they're not paying attention most of the time to what's going on around them except that money, right? They're taking a whole bunch of risks. They're not going to have time for you. I'm pretty sure she wants all of these romantic dates and all of these, spontaneous trips, but you're probably still not going to get that just as much as busy as her life is. She has to look at her life and be like, hey, do I want somebody to have the same life as me? Because she's very busy trying to keep her multi-million-dollar status. So if you get with somebody that's just like you, I mean, I don't know how you guys are going to see each other. So unless you guys are doing or in the same industry, it may work, but really not, because then you have to talk to producers or whoever to see if you guys can have the same schedule. So what she wants is it's not realistic.
No.
Damn,
I think
Simone.
entrepreneurs should date entrepreneurs.
Okay, but still, there's people who have really good jobs with vocational skills. If he's a mechanic,
no, you're not gonna understand my lifestyle. You're not gonna understand why I'm up at 3 a.m.
Damn, you making this hard for me. Okay, all right.
He has to be an entrepreneur.
A business.
Okay, but he's gonna be up at 4 a.m. So I don't understand what it is that you're gonna, get from him that is gonna be just as busy as you.
Owner. He getting one of them stimulus packages from Donald Trump, one of them small business loans, and he ain't buying jewelry with it.
Or moving into that direction.
Yeah. All right.
So by her saying that statement, okay, it basically is saying that she just wants a small percentage of men to choose from. There's about, I think, 16% of people who are entrepreneurs. Which percentage of that is men? Okay, so that, let's say 16% of that, there's 7% of men that are entrepreneurs. Now you're in the 7% category of men that you have to choose from. Right? When you're dating, you don't want a small percentage of people. You want to try to get the most so you can, pick and choose who's the best for your life. So, she needs to think about more of what she's saying and how that's going to affect her, because that's not right. You want to make sure that, you have more choices to choose someone versus not having it. Right? Because in this life, it's very hard to find someone that is for you. You guys have the same goals, same vision, right? Has the same morals when it comes to raising kids, same morals for marriage. It's hard to find that. It's hard to find someone that you guys are aligned and are equally yoked. So right now, she is still single. So she needs to think about that.
Clap if you still work a 9 to 5. Clap, 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 clap. I'm gonna tell y'all exactly my comment for those that don't know. I said I would.
Now, this is after she said this statement. This is a few years later.
Never date a man with the 9 to 5 at this stage of my life. I don't want to date a guy at Foot Locker. I made a joke, right? And at my stand-up show, I end my show with this now. I'm on tour with Martin Lawrence, arena of 30,000 people. I end my show with this. And this is how God uses purpose. God will embarrass you to use you. Watch.
Come on.
Watch. Baby. This is purpose. Listen. He will embarrass. I was so embarrassed. They're not understanding me. They're not this, they're not that.
Of course, they're not going to understand you because you basically talked about a large class of people, including probably your parents, your grandparents. You talked about your grandparents. Did you think about that when you said that statement? You talked about your grandfather. You talked about your uncles and your male cousins. If you have brothers, you talked about majority of people. So now that you have a lot of people looking at you, right? She said there's about 30,000 people in the crowd. Now you want to sit here and say, oh, they're not understanding me because people are watching you. But if most people wasn't watching you, would you come back and make this video? I don't think so.
I get up on that stage. I say, in the arena, clap if you heard my 9 to 5 comment. Yeah, we heard it. Clap if you have a 9 to 5 in here. And they clapping. I said, y'all are some of the hardest working citizens in the nation. You get up, you go to work, you take.
So when she made that statement first, she wasn't thinking that they were the hardest working people in the nation. She must have heard that from somebody, because if she felt that way, she wouldn't be so passionate about it and say it, right? Say it out loud.
The kids to school, you clocking into a job you probably don't give a damn about. You got other hopes and dreams, and you work so hard. I had a 9-to-5 less than 3 years ago. And then I say, clap if you would love to be there the next 50 years.
You see, now she's talking about herself. She didn't even think about herself when she made that statement.
The arena, I'm talking 30, gets quiet. It goes from almost 100% of people to about 20%.
I don't think a lot of people want to stay at their jobs for the next 50 years. So that question wasn't fair. I think that people are doing it so they can have the lifestyle that they want. So if that's, living in the middle income class or in the, the 6-figure bracket, then they can do that with a 9-to-5. All of these people, it's not that they want to stay there for 50 years. They're just doing it. They're doing it to live. You're on this podcast because you're doing it to live. You're making money for speaking. Right? So you're, like I said earlier, you're doing more than a 9-to-5. This is 24/7. So would you want to work 24/7 for the next 50 years?
I said, okay, if you would love to be there the next 50 years, I ain't talking to you. God bless you. Let me talk to these people that are going into this job every single day. You depressed, you got anxiety, you taking it out on yourself, your kids, your mom.
But you're depressed and you're making money. So her statement here doesn't make any sense. No one is severely happy for everything that they're doing. Not too many people are living or working in their purpose, working in their passion. It's not many of us doing that. And if you are doing that, then that's amazing. But a lot of people can't do that. They don't have the circumstances to do that. They may not have support to do that. So for example, in my life, I actually have support to live in dreams or new dreams that I've thought of, because now I'm married. I have a husband who works a 9-to-5. Now with the 9-to-5 that he was obtaining, now he's an entrepreneur. We are entrepreneurs. We are business owners with the 9-to-5 that we had. I had support, but how many people are walking around with that? Not everybody can do it. It's a very small percentage of people that can do that. So what she's saying is super contradicting.
Your dad, because you don't want to be there. God has planted a seed in your heart. He has given you purpose. And until you find that, you lost. Find that.
My purpose, or what I thought my purpose was, I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm just not tapping into it. My purpose back in the day was to be a movie director. Okay. I was supposed to be Tyler Perry. I was supposed to have a whole production company having that platform. That was my dream. But guess what? Life said that wasn't my dream. And now I have a whole nother purpose that I'm tapping into, and I'm not depressed about it. Things that you want in life, sometimes they change. Doesn't mean that it's for the bad. It just means that this is what you're supposed to do. And when she was crying earlier in the previous video, depressed, I thought you had money. I thought you were living in your dream. You had a book that made you a multimillionaire. I thought you was already doing that. So her speech right here may be touching people, but if they listen to everything that she's saying, it just doesn't make sense. Because if you're pushing people to work or to be in their dream, well, you're showing them that sometimes the dream that you thought you wanted is not worth it. Because why are you out here crying?
You want to be a doctor. You want to be a lawyer. You want to open up your own daycare center. You want to have your own boutique, but you're too scared to do it.
Now, back to the point to what she's trying to say, instead of contradicting herself. I do feel that if you know what your passion is, then strive for it. Because what I do see people doing is by the time they hit the age of 40, now they have figured it out. And then now at 40 years old, they're living in their purpose, which is still good, right? But if you're young and you know, for example, you want to be a doctor, or she made an example of, having a daycare center, then you need to make sure you have people around you that can help you get there, meaning using your resources and you're learning about the business or the job that you are trying to get. It's better to start young with a lot of things, but sometimes starting young for some people is not for them because they have a lot more to learn. You can start young and then everything fails and then you start crying, right? So sometimes it is timing. It's not our timing. It's the Most High's timing, and that's the timing that we're on.
So no, I'm not going to date a man who sees me living my dream every day and he's at a desk and he can't walk in his purpose. What is your purpose?
But in the moment where you're hearing all the backlash? What's going through your head?
Ooh.
I know maybe you didn't put that set together in that moment.
Yeah. And real quick before I answer that, my point of doing that at the end of the way God used that comment was brought around full circle for me to say that on tour with Martin, to touch somebody. I said it yesterday. I said, the girl said, I've been trying to, you pointed at me and said, you want to open up, I'm just talking. You want to open up your own daycare center. She comes to me crying and says, I've been trying to do that for 2 years. And I pointed at her and said it. That is purpose. So God used that moment for me to speak and talk to these people.
So, there are people here to help others, right? There could be a homeless man on the street that can point to you and say, hey, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. And he may not know nothing that you're doing. Anybody can be a voice of reason, not just someone that has a mic that's on a stage with 30,000 people staring at you. Anybody could be a voice of reason. Never look down on nobody like she was doing with the 9 to 5, even though now that she wants to talk about, oh, she was just talking about, I'm living my purpose. I want to be with a man that's living theirs. Okay. Because that's not the type of message that she was saying in the previous video with Nick Cannon.
In that
moment,
going through it, what's going on mentally?
What bothered me the most, and I got in my mind about, that's why you control your mind, you control your life, control your mind. You have got to learn how to control your mind. My character. When people question my character, that had me in my room crying. When you are truly trying to be a pure soul and do right, and your heart is pure.
Well, they question your character because you was questioning other people's character on why they chose to work a 9 to 5, which is a decent living.
And you be the best person to the best of your ability. I base my life on that. And when people question my character, that's what tore me down.
So it seems like a lot of pride is what I'm listening to. Because if they didn't question your character and they was like, yeah, girl, exactly, I understand what you're talking about. I don't want these men that's working a 9 to 5 either. Then you would have still been saying the foolishness. When, like I said, majority of people are working at the same place every single day.
That was the first time it had happened. I called T.I., all my mentors, Nick Cannon. I called.
Why are you calling Nick Cannon when Nick Cannon was trying to put you on game in that video, but you wasn't listening?
Amanda Seals. And I cried to all of them. I'm like, how do y'all do this every day?
They don't read the comments.
We're like, welcome to the dark side. Like, so you in now. They hate you. Come on, keep going. You're doing the right thing. And I looked at so many documentaries. I remember during that time I watched the Whitney Houston documentary. I looked up stuff on Michael Jackson. I'm like, let me look up these legends. I look up stuff on Beyonce. I'm like, they made fun of Whitney Houston's crack addiction on SNL. And I'm over here worried about what these people think. They blamed Michael Jackson. I'm like, these legends went through public, like, you making fun of Whitney Houston's crack addiction on a comedy show? Could you imagine how she felt? Yeah. Like, so I'm like, this ain't nothing. I didn't even reach my peak. I've been doing this for 3 years. Come on, like, wow. Come on, girl, you tripping.
Now, I am happy that she got her reality check, because that's sometimes what we need. We need to say something crazy, do something crazy, think something crazy, and then that's when life just smacks you in the face and be like, no, that's not it. This is it. So I'm glad that she got her reality check. I do hope that she really learned from what she said, which I don't think she did, because I don't think that she would still date anyone that is working a 9 to 5 unless they want to be an entrepreneur, which is still saying the same thing that she said earlier. But I do see her changing a little bit. She mentioned her character and everything. Probably a better person as far as what she says out of her mouth. She's going to think before she speaks. And I think that we all should do that. Now let's go to the next clip.
It's just my finances. Like, the budgeting, you see how I am nitpicking every little thing. I've never been like that. We were in Bloomingdale's yesterday. I'm like, we have to go to H&M.
Yeah.
Like, I notice it in me now, just nitpicking. And it's not even, I just don't have it like to spend the liquid. Yeah. I'm used to having liquid. I'm used to seeing a certain amount in my account.
That's what's trending right now. She's talking about her finances. She doesn't have the liquid cash and all of that. But that's what you get for talking about people, right? You're going to have moments, dark moments, where things are going to happen and it's going to hit you hard because you weren't appreciative of your life or anybody's life around you. You have to watch what you say. You have to always consider others, because when you don't consider others and you put people behind you, then some things are going to happen to you Okay, so you have to make sure that whatever you say, whatever you do, is in the best interest of you and the best interest of the next person.
I'm like, damn, I just want to get drunk, get a blunt, go binge eat on some food, go out tonight. When you are called.
So she's talking about all this, how she doesn't have enough money. Now she has to shop at H&M, which is a regular store for most regular people. But she's talking about getting drunk and spending money on some, like, what are we doing? You're wasting money. So if you ever get a lot of money, don't waste all of it. You have to learn how to monopolize on your money. It doesn't matter. We're not just talking about people that have millions of dollars. We're talking about anybody. So if you have $100, learn how to stretch the $100. Don't spend it all in one day or in 1 hour, because that's what's happening. We're going to, a restaurant and we're just spending the money right away. So if you're striving to do something and be something in life, learn how to budget. So she's just not budgeting properly.
And when you are chosen, your choices in your life and your idea of fun and your decisions, they look different. You have to leave your old life behind. Every thought cannot be an action. Every thought cannot be reality. Every thought cannot take you back to what God delivered you from.
So there was a moment where she had a show, I'm trying to find my boyfriend. She had a boyfriend, it didn't work out. Now she's on the internet being depressed and crying all the time. And, I think that if she's trying to find her someone that she could live her life with, spilling all of your tea on the internet for everybody to see is not how you do it, because now you're having a lot of unwanted attention. You need to make sure that what you spill out here is not spilling all of your dark secrets. That's not something for everybody to know. That's not something for the public to know, because the men that possibly wanted to be with you, they're not going to be with you, because now everybody knows your business and they may not like the dark secrets that you're spilling out. So you want to find your boyfriend, because that's a show that she had, and that was one of the reasons how she became viral. Then make sure that you find him. Yes, women can find men too. It's not just men finding women, women find men too, especially in this day and age. If you're under a rock and you're not out there dating and you're playing hard to get, you're not going to be able to get that man that you're looking for. You're not going to be able to get the marriage that you're looking for. So right now, she's not doing herself any good right now. All she's doing is running her mouth, and that's it. And she's making money for running her mouth. These shows that I'm showing you, especially the one right here where she's wearing the black and the white, that is something that she is trying to make more money off of. You have to basically subscribe to this new podcast in order to watch the full video, which is nothing wrong with that. That is amazing. But you're missing out on trying to find the love that you're looking for. So you could go ahead and do this together with someone and pass this down to someone, which is a child. You're not going to be able to pass nothing down. You're going to be just like Oprah Winfrey, where she's passing money and wealth down to godchildren that's not even related to her. So if you want to subscribe to her podcast, it is called Let's Try This Again with B. Simone. That's where you can watch the full clip. But that is a wrap with Scrolling with Lady Di. Okay, that's all I have. And that was on my newsfeed. And I want to share the nonsense with y'all and just to share some knowledge and to help others be the best version of yourself and live life with purpose. Don't live life and looking at people as if they're nothing compared to you. Never live life like that. Make sure you tell me what you think, leave a comment below, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Also, if you're in DC for the first week in August, make sure you stop by and you come see us. I will be on the show, This Might Be Risky. The link will be provided in the description. Make sure you get your early bird tickets.